Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura is here with us. Hikaru, you just ended Firouzja's unbeaten streak at this event. What was your reaction when you saw him playing a rook c5 on the board?
Yeah, I mean, I was a little bit surprised to see it because I thought it was a blunder. I didn't have my usual reaction, so I wasn't 100% sure that it was just losing on the spot. But I got the sense that he wanted to keep the game going. I think perhaps he got a little bit too overconfident because he has had some good results against me recently. So it was a little bit surprising, but at the end of the day, the team won the match. The game didn't actually, I think, change the outcome, so it's not that big of a deal.
Would you say pawn endings have been Alireza Firouzja's Achilles heel?
I mean, I know he lost a pawn ending against Magnus a couple of years ago in Norway, but what other pawn endings?
Maybe a few more. Anyway.
Okay. No, I mean, I think what I would say about Alireza is endgames probably are his weakest point. I think he's somebody who likes very dynamic positions. In fact, when I think back to when I played him in the Speed Chess Championship, I think there were like one or two games in that match where I actually outplayed him. There was a knight endgame. There was another one I think also which I won. So if I had to say there's a weak point, I think it's endgames. But I think also, I mean, when he starts doing very well, he can become a little bit too overconfident. But at the end of the day, he's having a great event. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
You won the game. Your team, American Gambits, won a virtual must-win. So how's the team spirit now?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's in a pretty good mood. I mean, it's been tough because a couple of players have had some difficult games. But at the end of the day, you sort of just try to be positive about what can happen, and I think overall everybody's in a pretty good mood. And certainly winning today was very important because it seems like most of the matches there have been one or two games that haven't gone our way. For example, when we played the Magnus team, I think 2 days ago, I think Bier lost this game, which he never should have lost to Darda, and if he doesn't lose that, we win the match. So, I mean, it's kind of you wait and see what happens in the remaining games. I think actually for myself though, I became much more optimistic when. Which was it was the team that was leading. They lost to one of the teams that was doing badly, I think, in the first round of the day. And so, I mean, I think it's still unlikely we'll make the top two. But again, you just play and hopefully good things will happen.
We have to talk about your fantastic match against Magnus. You found some amazing resources, rook g3 check, rook e6, and eventually there was a winning opportunity at the end, rook h6. Can you tell us your thoughts about that game?
Well, I mean, I'm just a little bit too old and too slow to use the joke that Magnus made in that game he played years ago in Triveni. But jokes aside, I mean, I think I played very well. I found the critical moves. Actually, what I would say is that if I played rook e6 right away, if I played that in like 5 seconds instead of 30 seconds, I think I maybe could have won the game. But I actually think that if I had gone for this rook h6 in that situation, I probably would have lost the game on time. So, or there would have been some drama with like a draw claim or whatever. But yeah, I was happy with how I played. I think certainly whenever I play against Magnus, he tends to bring out the best in me, and it's always just great to compete with him.
Against Vishy Anand, he allowed knight c6, and then the end game reached something which the computer thinks it's equal, but the reality is far from it. So can you share your ideas about that game?
The first game or second game? Which one?
Yeah, the first game where he went knight c6 and then there was a compensation, okay, queen versus double rook and so on.
Sorry, no, because also in the second game he let me get the knight to c6 with black, and if he had done an order to stop that, he would have been much better. So that's why I was confused. But yeah, I think it was always equal. I mean, I think the time control played a huge role. Probably if there was increment, it would have been a draw, is my guess. But it's a team event and you have to keep the game going. Probably if it were just like tournament in St. Louis, like a rapid and blitz event, I probably would have just made the draw. But in this event, every point counts, so I just kept the game going. And I think perhaps if there's one thing I would say that Vishy did wrong is that he tried to go for the counterplay with his rook c2, and there's nothing wrong with it. Of course, it was still equal, but then he doesn't have a straightforward setup where you can just like wait, moving the rooks back and forth. So maybe I was a little bit lucky from that standpoint. But even with Vishy, it's a lot of fun to play him because unless I'm mistaken, I don't think I've played him over the board since before the pandemic. I think this is my first time playing. I mean, we've played online and everything else, but unless I'm mistaken, I don't think I've actually played him over the board since the pandemic. So it's always great to play Vishy.
This tournament features no increment, which has been made to make it spectator friendly. You have been someone who pioneered chess into the general masses through your streaming. So what impact do you think this no increment has been making in this event?
So, I mean, for me, it's not too weird. I would say that I grew up playing without increment. I mean, I grew up playing chess in the late 1990s and the early 2000s, playing at the Marshall Chess Club. And back then, there weren't even digital clocks. You just played with these analog clocks, and you get low on time. I mean, all kinds of crazy stuff happens. So for me, it's almost like a blast from the past. And I mean, I don't necessarily like playing without increment, but on the other hand, I would argue that for the viewers, it induces more blunders. There's more fun. I think, if chess wants to become bigger, there's sort of the critical question is how much do you sacrifice on the professional side and treat chess more as entertainment. And I think for myself, I think leaning more into the entertainment side probably has the most possibility of upside. I was actually, very disappointed seeing Magnus talk about this topic and his insufficient losing claim for a couple of reasons. First of all, we played in the Vishy Anand World Championship in 2018 in Norway, and he had a rook and knight against rook. We were playing without increment, and he flagged. And I figured after that game he would read up on the rules about making claims. I don't know if he did and he forgot or what happened. But then secondarily, I think that when you play these tournaments, it's really the onus is on the players to read the rules and regulations before the event. Now, I'm not one who does that, but I sort of accept that the rules are what they are. And so I think all this complaining about it, if anything, it reflects poorly on chess. And I think that it's really unnecessary. If anything, that's only going to turn people off because it's going to make chess players look kind of crazy a little bit.
Well, a few days ago, producer whispered, Hikaru, start. Well, because it's a live program and you understand the TV dynamics because you yourself appeared at Billions, an award-winning TV series in USA. So can you tell us, what was your reaction at that time?
To what exactly? When I did Billions, or?
No, I mean when the producer said Hikaru start instead the arbiter saying start.
Yeah, I mean, I think my general attitude these days is I look at chess as something where what will possibly make it bigger? What can generate more interest? And so, there are a lot of little things that perhaps I would say, if I were looking at purely from a professional standpoint, I would be annoyed by. But at this point in time, I mean, I think that with where I'm at in my career, I think trying to throw things against the wall and hoping that they stick is probably the best method. And I think there are little things that probably haven't been done perfectly here, but overall, I think it's been a pretty good event. So there's nothing for me to complain about.
One last question before you go. Since you have appeared at a TV series and there are fantasy bookers who are looking for this match, WWE has been taken over by TKO and it's heading towards Netflix this January. Would you be open to a celebrity match between WWE's Shinsuke Nakamura versus you at WrestleMania next year?
Oh, WrestleMania. It's funny you should mention that because actually, this is off topic, but I recently watched this Netflix documentary, and it was called Mr. McMahon. It was about Vince McMahon, the founder of WWE. And one of the things, and I don't know if it's really applicable to chess necessarily, but when you look at WWE, the thing that makes it exciting, it's not. I mean, sure, the people are very physically active and they're in shape and all this stuff, but I think the thing is the entertainment side of creating personalities. The personalities driving it forward. It's something that I think is worth thinking about as it relates to chess, certainly. But then back to your point, whether I would do that WrestleMania. I mean, I don't know. It depends whether I can get seriously hurt or not. But I think that it would only be good. Certainly, I mean, one of the guilty pleasures when I was young was I did used to watch WWE. I think during the time of Triple H and The Rock, I would watch a lot of those fights. So it's something that I hate to admit it, but I've actually watched quite a bit.
Well, I must tell you, currently WWE is being run, head of creative is Triple H and Rock is one of the TKO boss. So it would be great to see you in action. Thank you very much, Hikaru, for your valuable time. I wish you all the best for the remaining matches.
Thank you.